As the relentless Yukon mining season grinds forward, pressure is mounting on every crew chasing gold. In Gold Rush Season 16 Episode 15, titled Trommel Around and Find Out, that pressure reaches a boiling point. With winter creeping closer, fuel bills rising, and gold totals lagging behind expectations, every decision now carries enormous consequences. For some miners, the stakes are financial. For others, they are deeply personal. This episode promises a powerful blend of mechanical chaos, emotional confrontation, and raw physical exhaustion, as Tony Beets' empire teeters under mounting delays, Rick Ness's crew battles fatigue and internal conflict, and Kevin Beets leans on a trusted ally to squeeze every ounce of gold from promising ground. At Paradise Hill, Tony Beets faces one of the most frustrating setbacks of the season. The Trommel, an essential machine responsible for washing pay dirt and producing gold, has yet to run a single yard. For weeks, the massive steel giant has sat silent, turning what should be a productive site into a costly liability. With every idle day, expenses pile up, while gold output remains stubbornly at zero. The responsibility for breathing life back into the Trommel lies with Tony's youngest son, Mike Beets. But the road to recovery has been anything but smooth. Plagued by mechanical failures, staffing shortages, and constant interruptions, Mike has found himself trapped in an exhausting cycle of setbacks. Every step forward seems to uncover another problem, stretching timelines and testing patience. From Mike's point of view, many of these delays could have been avoided months ago. He feels overwhelmed by the constant pressure to juggle multiple demands while operating under his father's watchful eye. The youngest Beets' son desperately wants the chance to manage the project his own way, believing that independence is the only path to real progress. Instead, he feels boxed in by constant oversight, struggling to build momentum when his decisions are repeatedly second-guessed. Tony, however, sees the situation through a far harsher lens. As a veteran miner who built his empire through grit, instinct, and relentless work, he has little tolerance for slow progress. To Tony, delays equal lost money, and lost money is unacceptable. Convinced that Mike still lacks the experience to handle such a critical operation alone, Tony believes that constant supervision is necessary to avoid costly mistakes. When Tony arrives at Paradise Hill to inspect the Trommel, the atmosphere immediately turns tense. He's told that Mike is already deep into repairs and should be allowed to finish the job without interference. But standing beside a silent machine that should be generating gold, Tony's frustration boils over. For him, every wasted hour is another step backward in the gold race. This clash of perspectives creates a widening rift between father and son. Each time Mike makes a decision, Tony steps in to override it, inadvertently undermining Mike's leadership. What Tony sees as guidance feels to Mike like a lack of trust. The repeated reversals chip away at his confidence, leaving him questioning his own judgment and abilities. Those closest to Mike recognize the emotional toll this dynamic is taking. They believe he deserves the opportunity to follow in his brother Kevin's footsteps, to carve out his own legacy, operate his own claims, and lead his own crew. But escaping Tony's towering shadow is no easy task. Mike desperately wants to impress his father, yet that very desire adds crushing pressure to an already overwhelming workload. Despite the emotional strain and relentless setbacks, Mike refuses to quit. After weeks of battling with a skeleton crew, he finally completes the painstaking maintenance needed to restore the Trommel's critical systems. With the mechanical groundwork laid, the operation now hinges on a series of high-risk maneuvers. The massive conveyor must be lifted into place using a pipe layer, aligned perfectly, and secured so that material can flow smoothly into the plant. Next, the hopper must be braced properly to ensure the entire system remains stable under heavy loads. If everything comes together, the Trommel can finally roar back to life, transforming Paradise Hill from a financial drain into a gold-producing powerhouse. But in mining, nothing is ever guaranteed. Just as success appears within reach, an unexpected incident threatens to derail the entire operation. With Tony watching closely and patience running out, Mike stands at a crossroads. Whether he can overcome this final obstacle may determine not only the fate of the Trommel, but also his future within the Beets mining dynasty. While father and son clash at Paradise Hill, Ness and his crew are locked in a brutal battle of endurance at Valhalla. Determined to expose gold-rich ground before the season slips away, Rick pushes his team to their physical limits. His directive is simple yet punishing: each truck driver must complete the demanding 8-minute haul 100 times in a single day. On paper, the challenge sounds achievable. In reality, it becomes a grueling marathon of concentration, stamina, and sheer willpower. Hour after hour behind the wheel, drivers repeat the same short route, navigating rough terrain, choking dust, and relentless vibration. Fatigue quickly sets in, slowing reaction times and fraying nerves. As exhaustion builds, cracks begin to appear in the team's unity. Some drivers worry they won't meet the ambitious production targets. Others fear that pushing too hard could lead to dangerous mistakes. In an environment where heavy machinery and tight schedules collide, even a brief lapse in focus can have serious consequences. Among the drivers, one stands out for his blistering pace. Confident in his abilities and hungry to prove himself, he attacks the route with relentless intensity. Now fully settled into his role, he believes that maximizing speed is the only way forward. Every extra load moved brings the crew closer to gold, and he expects his fellow driver to match his effort. But his counterpart sees the situation through a different lens. Preferring consistency and control, he refuses to sacrifice endurance for short-term gains. While capable of pushing faster, he believes that steady performance will ultimately yield better results and reduce the risk of costly errors. To him, sustainable productivity matters more than raw speed. This clash of philosophies gradually ignites tension. The faster driver grows increasingly impatient, while the steadier driver bristles under constant pressure. Long hours, thick dust, and aching muscles amplify every disagreement, pushing tempers dangerously close to the breaking point. For Rick, the challenge becomes not just about moving dirt, but about preserving morale and cohesion within a crew stretched to its limits. Meanwhile, over at Sphinx Cut, Kevin Beets receives a much-needed boost. After weeks away, Buzz Legault, his trusted right-hand man, finally returns to the operation. The timing couldn't be better. Sphinx Cut has already proven its gold potential, but extracting its full value requires experience, efficiency, and strong leadership. Buzz's return injects new energy into the site. His deep understanding of mining logistics and mechanical systems allows Kevin to fine-tune production, streamline workflows, and push harder in pursuit of higher gold totals. More importantly, Buzz provides emotional support, giving Kevin a steady presence during one of the most demanding stretches of the season. With winter looming and competition intensifying, every ounce counts. Kevin knows that maximizing output now could mean the difference between a good season and a great one. With Buzz back at his side, he finally has the tools and support necessary to unlock Sphinx Cut's full potential. As episode 15 unfolds, Gold Rush delivers a compelling portrait of ambition, resilience, and human conflict. Whether it's Mike Beets struggling to earn his father's trust, Ness fighting to keep his exhausted crew united, or Kevin Beets pushing relentlessly toward bigger gold totals, the episode captures the raw realities of life in the Yukon. With tempers flaring, machines breaking, and fortunes hanging in the balance, Trommel Around and Find Out stands poised to become one of the most emotionally charged and pivotal episodes of Season 16, where hard work, determination, and sheer grit will decide who moves forward and who falls behind. Parker Schnabel will not be appearing in this week's episode of Gold Rush. While his absence may be noticeable, there is no cause for concern. The decision is related to how the show structures its weekly episodes and how production balances screen time among the season's 4 main mining operations. This season of Gold Rush follows 4 main mining operations: Parker Schnabel, Tony Beets, Ness, and Kevin Beets. With only 1 hour of airtime available per episode, it is impossible to fully showcase all 4 crews every single week. As a result, the production team rotates storylines, giving each crew dedicated focus across different episodes. This is the same reason Rick Ness was absent from last week's episode. Rather than squeezing every storyline into a single hour, the show chooses to dive deeper into 3 crews at a time, allowing for more detailed storytelling and stronger narrative development. In Parker's case, it simply wasn't his turn in the rotation. However, there is a second, and perhaps more interesting reason behind Parker's reduced screen time. Over the years, Parker Schnabel has evolved from a teenage rookie into one of the most skilled and efficient gold miners in the world. His operation is now a finely tuned machine, run by experienced managers, veteran mechanics, and a disciplined crew that understands exactly what needs to be done. While Parker still faces challenges, he now solves most problems quickly and decisively, drawing on years of experience and strategic planning. Looking ahead, fans shouldn't worry about Parker disappearing for long. He is expected to return in next week's episode, and his operation will once again take center stage. That said, viewers may want to get used to seeing him slightly less often than in earlier seasons. Parker's life is increasingly shifting away from day-to-day mining drama and toward large-scale business operations. As his gold empire expands, his responsibilities now include extensive paperwork, financial planning, equipment investments, land negotiations, and countless business meetings. While these behind-the-scenes efforts are crucial to his success, they are far less exciting to watch on television. Even Parker's most devoted fans recognize that as he grows into one of the most accomplished miners in the world, his journey naturally moves beyond the scope of reality TV storytelling. In many ways, this is a testament to just how far he has come from a determined teenager mining under his grandfather's guidance to a global mining powerhouse running multi-million-dollar operations. So, did you miss Parker Schnabel on Gold Rush this week? Did Tony Beets, Rick Ness, and Kevin Beets manage to carry the episode without him? And do you think Parker's growing success means we'll continue to see less of him in future seasons? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's break down the rankings after episode 14 and see who's poised to strike it big as the gold chase continues into episode 15. After episode 14, the leaderboard paints a clear picture of who is dominating, who is struggling, and who still has everything to prove. With winter looming and costs continuing to rise, every ounce of gold now carries massive financial and emotional weight. At this stage, the season is no longer about potential, it is about results. And while some miners are pulling far ahead, others find themselves locked in a desperate uphill battle. At the top of the standings sits Parker Schnabel, whose operation continues to operate at an elite level. With approximately 6,700 ounces of gold, valued at nearly $24 million, Parker has once again demonstrated why he remains the benchmark for success in the Yukon. His operation is running with efficiency, precision, and confidence, built upon years of experience, calculated risk-taking, and strategic investment. Not far behind is Tony Beets, whose empire has once again proven both resilient and unpredictable. Tony's crew has mined roughly 4,900 ounces, putting his gold total near $17 million. While this figure firmly places him in second position, the path to get there has been anything but smooth. Still, the gap between Tony and Parker remains significant. To close it, Tony will need near-perfect execution over the remainder of the season. Any further mechanical disasters could widen the distance beyond recovery. Further down the leaderboard sits Kevin Beets, who is experiencing one of the most challenging seasons of his young mining career. With approximately 580 ounces, valued at just over $2 million, Kevin finds himself far behind the two mining giants. Yet the raw numbers fail to capture the full scope of his struggle. Although Kevin trails badly in the standings, the season is far from over. A strong late surge could drastically reshape his final totals and validate his bold decision to strike out on his own. At the bottom of the gold chart sits Rick Ness, whose season has been defined by struggle, frustration, and relentless pressure. With roughly 440 ounces, valued at about $1.5 million, Rick finds himself facing a steep climb to salvage the year. As episode 14 closes, the leaderboard clearly reveals a season of sharp contrasts. Parker Schnabel continues to dominate with clinical efficiency. Tony Beets fights relentlessly to stay within striking distance. Kevin Beets battles to prove his independence and unlock his mind's potential. Ness pushes his crew to the brink in a desperate race against time. With only a limited number of weeks remaining, the margin for error has all but vanished. Every mechanical failure, every poor decision, and every missed opportunity now carries massive consequences. As winter edges closer, the pressure intensifies, forcing each miner to dig deeper, both into the ground and into themselves.